Thanks for checking out the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to see me play your deck, hang out with me in the amazing BoshNRoll community in Discord, access to my lists and sideboard guides before tournaments, book an individual coaching session, or just generally want to support what's going on here, check out the Patreon and YouTube membership options. For the finest Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, use code BoshNRoll for 10% off your order at coalesceapparel.shop. MONKSfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. If you want to play what I'm playing, use my affiliate link to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com and play any deck anytime on Magic Online with a cardhoarder.com loan account. Thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back once again to the BoshNRoll channel. Today, at the request of Patreon subscriber Epi, I have adapted my Yorion Esper Kitten deck that I won a tournament with right when Displacer Kitten was first released to be a 60-card non-Yorion deck. Some folks just don't want to shuffle 80 cards, and I respect that. What I've done, basically, is the main deck doesn't have any new cards in it. I just reduced it from 80 to 60, went from 27 lands down to 20, and then just sort of trimmed off some of the extra stuff. Like, you'll notice Narset is down to 3 instead of 4. Prismatic Ending is 3 instead of 4. Displacer Kitten is 2 instead of 3. Mishra's Baubles down to 2 of those. Kept the Mox Amber. The biggest thing that we've lost is Thassa's Oracle. I think in a 60-card deck, you just don't have room for that angle of attack, because that card is really bad when you draw it. And in a 60-card deck, there's nowhere to really hide it. But if you go off with Displacer Kitten and Teferi, which, if you're new here and haven't seen this before, Teferi Time Raveler, -3, return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand, draw a card. If you return any Mishra's Bauble or Mox Amber to your hand, then replay it with a Displacer Kitten. Casting that spell will flicker Teferi, then it's a new Teferi at 4 loyalty. Then you bounce it again, and you draw cards, and you can draw as many cards as you want. If you have Mox Amber, you can float a blue or white because Teferi is a legend. And that gives you as many draws out of your deck as you want, and then as much mana as you have cards in your deck. In the previous build of the deck, we just drew our whole deck until we found Thassa's Oracle. Now the plan is Monastery Mentor. There is no line where you can win on the spot, but Monastery Mentor, you'll draw it eventually if you're looping with Teferi, and then when you loop, you get a Monk, and then you can pass the turn with a handful of Force of Wills and Teferi in play, and you can play Narset if you want. You can do a lot of stuff because you have your whole deck in your hand should you choose to have it, and then you untap, cast a couple spells, and attack with all your monks. That's the combo in this version. And I remember having those conversations with Anzi D back when Displacer Kitten was first released. He was trying Jeskai stuff, me and Pokemoki were trying this Esper stuff, and we just couldn't find room for Thassa's Oracle. It's like the 63rd card you'd want to put in the deck. That's why Pokemoki and I went all the way up to Yorion, and Anzi just wasn't playing Thassa's Oracle at all and went down to 60. And I've applied those lessons here. Outside of that combo, this is just an Esper control deck. We've got Baleful Strix, Swords of Plowshares, cantrips, counterspells, planeswalkers. This deck can just grind. I made sure to leave the Solitude and the Animate Dead in the deck. These are 2 of the spicier one-ofs that were in the Yorion version. The 2 Recruiter of the Guards, this number didn't change. I think this is one of the more important cards in the deck. It's even more important when you have 80 cards, but I really like the angle that Recruiter of the Guard offers. That finds Strix, Mentor, Kitten, or Solitude. So every card in the deck, and then after sideboard it finds Nightclubber or Plague Engineer as well. That's just a really important engine card for this type of deck, and I did not touch that at all. It's the same number in the 60 as it was in the 80. The sideboard is updated a little bit. Obviously, we get an extra slot because we're not playing Yorion, but I have moved a couple cards around because the metagame has changed a bit in the, what is it, like 2-3 months since this card came out? Maybe longer. I don't know. Time doesn't make sense anymore. Got more Hydroblast, more Dress Down. The increase of Red Prison and Doomsday in the metagame. Big reasons for those. And that's what's going on here. This is 60 card Esper Kitten combo at the request of Patreon subscriber Epi. Let's go try it out. I'm on the play in round number 1 with a basic island, Ponder, Baleful Strix. Let's go. There's obviously a lot of lands in this hand, but that's okay. I'm into it. There's actually so many lands in this hand that I'm gonna ponder off of Tundra instead of basic island. If they spend their first turn wastelanding me instead of playing a card, that's good for me. It's a deal. Another Strix, hell yeah. Sequencing it this way lets me use a fetch land to clear the card I don't want off the bottom of the ponder. Swept Heath and a Once Upon a Time. Okay. Endhorn Elves revealed. Okay. This is a probably unwinnable game 1 and a very good game 2 and 3. I am going to Prismatic this thing immediately and with impunity. Get that out of here. Baleful Strix is not really how you want to engage with elves. Just cutting off their development is really important in these early turns. Yeah, this is not how elves wants to play a second turn, using Beseiju as their land drop instead of as a Beseiju and just this sad little elvish visionary. Animate Dead. That's cool if I find Solitude. Get a Strix on the stack. And I'll play the fetch land. I don't think it matters which land I play here. Basically, it's if I Strix into Strix next turn and have to crack my fetch, I won't be excited about that. But if I find Ponder or Brainstorm, I'll be glad I played the fetch. And if I find none of the above, it just doesn't matter. I could just tap out for Displacer Kitten and bet here. That might scare them into doing something reckless, which I'm not actually prepared to do. I'm gonna take a break here and cast my Strix. Try to find a removal or counter spell. Narset's not bad. She is effective at tangling with some of the elves' engines. Like they can fetch Dryad Arbor, untap Natural Order, and just be ahead. They didn't do that. This must be Endurance. Yeah, okay. This is the fair mid-range Fiend Artisan, whatever the hell deck. Elf. Elf is a great name for this because they're down to like one elf. But Elvish Visionary means they're not all the way in on that. There's a whole spectrum of actual combo elves all the way to the deck literally has one elf in it. Yep, just fearlessly going for this. Do you have a main deck Progenitus? Do you think that Archon is going to win this game on its own through 2 Baleful Strixes? I'm very interested here because Hoof is not lethal. Oh, Natural Order for Grist. That's ugly, but effective, I suppose. Milda Fiend Artisan. Okay, Mox Amber is a good draw. I can attack Grist for 2, play Kitten, play Amber, flicker a Strix, draw another card. Or I could Narset, draw, see what happens. And I can use Mox for a blue this turn. I do want to make them use Grist on Narset, so I don't want to give them any free attacks here. I'm going to Narset off of Basic Swamp, keeping my fetch lands open. Ponder and Brainstorm. I'll put Brainstorm in my hand. I'm not going to cast it yet. I'm going to attack Grist with one of these Strixes. And I'm just going to pass the turn here. Their Natural Order just resolved last turn, but as we saw, it wasn't even that good. So maybe they'll read it as it's not that good, or maybe they'll just jam a million creatures in play and cast another one. Certainly a million creatures in play. All right, let's find a Force of Will. Brutal. Okay, no Force of Will. Put back Underground Sea, and I think Animate Dead's probably no good. I can Animate Dead their creatures, though, or my Strix that's about to die. I don't think I need the second Narset, but I'll get rid of. And I'll let Natural Order resolve and see what we're dealing with here. It's going to be Hoof, which I can respond to the trigger to get rid of the 5/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This isn't that much damage. It's 12, and I have a blocker with Death Touch. Yeah, there were simply not that many creatures in play at the start of the turn. I'll trade with the Endurance, take a bunch of damage, and then try to do stuff now. Okay, I'm going to fetch a non-basic because their deck doesn't affect me at all in the basic land department. And then Displacer Kitten. And I should have attacked first. I can animate dead. All right, I'm just going to attack and wish that I had done this second main. But I'd be surprised if they have removal in the main deck that can hit a Displacer Kitten. Attack Grist. Put a damage there. And then Mox Amber first, because that's the free one, and I'll flicker Baleful Strix. Draw another card. There's my Force of Will. And I can animate dead from either graveyard. I could take their Fiend Artisan and do cool stuff with that. I could take their Endurance, which also shrinks their Elvish Reclaimer. Getting back my Baleful Strix doesn't make a whole lot of sense because it's a 0/1. It draws a card versus having an actual permanent in play. I think I want their Endurance. I get to flicker Strix on the way through here. Okay, we got Force Blue card backing up now. And Endurance U, make your Elvish Reclaimer small and your Grist out of juice. And pass the turn. They'll probably use Grist this turn to destroy my Displacer Kitten. And then I get to pick it off with combat damage. It was just a value cat. It drew 2 cards. Just a little 3-for-1. Yep. Played Dryad Arbor, then activated Grist. Affect an insect, kill the cat. Wish I had a spell to flicker it, but I don't. No good attacks here. Send it back to me. Just going to attack Grist first. If they have a second Endurance, I can force it. But I do want Grist off the board. Grist is just dead. Perfect. Here's Narset, which I inexplicably tapped my Underground Sea instead of my basic Swamp for. Narset, another Narset. And that turns on Mox Amber. We are both capable of shuffling our decks, so I'm going to bobble myself, see if I like the card, and shuffle it away if I don't. Very on top. I like that card quite a bit. And I'm going to pass with Hardcast Force of Will up. They're activating Reclaimer in the end step. Got another Dryad Arbor. Oh, right. I did Endurance it into their deck. That's where that came from. Now I got Teferi. There are 3 cards in hand. Now there are 2 cards in hand. Would have to be Allosaurus Shepherd plus Natural Order for me to care. And looks like it was none of the above. Start by activating Narset. And I think I want Ponder out of these available options. I'm going to attack with all my creatures. They can easily make a 3/4, but they'd need to lose another creature on a double block. And if I can get them committed to fetch plus activate pre-combat, that's a good deal. And I'm putting the insect token first, not falling for this business. My plan, if they didn't go for the double block, was to second main bounce Animate Dead with Teferi and get some value going, but this will work just fine. Ojuka Bog. Don't think I care about that. I cut the Mystic Sanctuary from the deck when I was trimming on the lands. Second main, here's Teferi. And I can bounce Strix, replay Strix, draw a bunch of cards. I like that. Bounce my Strix, find Swords of Plowshares, black, blue, leaving all this white mana available. Play my land, and there's a basic Plains in the deck that I probably should have prioritized there by fetching the other way. Okay, cool. Now we're in business. Found a white removal spell. Get to hit Elvish Reclaimer right now. I can hit something else with Plow on their turn, including Allosaurus Shepherd. I don't think there's any sequence of 3 cards I'm worried about out of their deck right now. If Misty Rainforest, Allosaurus Shepherd, okay. That is one of the better cards they could have. Sending both Dryads at Teferi. I'll trade with one of them, and I think I just want to ignore the other. That's fine. You can have my Teferi. I'm not going to let them resolve a Natural Order here when I have everything covered. Draw Ponder for turn, and I'm going to start with Narset. Dig my way into more stuff. A Brainstorm, I'll take that. Brainstorm. That's a cat and a bunch of spells. If I put back... Oh, I have to shuffle. I only have 5 total mana. Put back one of the Plows. I could actually put back both Plows. Keep Force Blue card. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, now we get to do the... what I call the skip, where you cast a spell, flicker Narset, minus Narset, find a spell. Kitten's back. Swords to Plowshares, the Allosaurus Shepherd. Kitten will flicker Narset. Oh, I could flicker MONKS Amber and then also Ponder this turn. I don't think that's necessary. Ponder's my blue card for Force. We're chilling. They're going to activate Shepherd to gain extra life here. Or, no, you're not. You're a mana short. Good thought, though. Shepherd's gone. Reactivate Narset. I found Mishra's Bauble. We can go again. I think that's better than Swords to Plowshares. Bauble. Flicker Narset. And now we're ripping. Activate Narset. Find Swords to Plowshares. And I'm not going to activate this Bauble. My hand is pretty rolled up. And nope, I have Amber in play. I was about to say, if I draw Teferi, I want a 0 to bounce, but Amber's been in play this whole time. No, I definitely should have bobbled. Okay, did not play perfectly, but that game was still not even close. We took game 1, which is one I was worried about. Now we got Nightclubber, Plague Engineer, and Engineered Explosives, post-board, and Supreme Verdict. Cards that are less good include Animate Dead, though I love it. We've seen main deck Endurance. I don't hate Dress Down versus Elves, but it'll be a matter of how much space we have. I like all the white removal. I like being able to combo them out. So that is less important than it was game 1. I could go down to 1 Kitten. I could back off of Force of Will. I don't really like Force against the deck that's boarding in Thoughtseize and already has 4 Allosaur Shepherds in it. Play to the board. I have a ton of removal. I wonder if they're gonna go for Collector Roof against me, and do I care if they do? I could shave a Bauble now that I'm down 1 Kitten and get a Dress Down in. Yeah, I think that plays. Okay, I'm in for this. I'm gonna mulligan this 0 land hand, and I'm gonna keep this hand with multiple white removal spells and I can't trip in it. And I'll send MONKS Amber, because that one is not helpful for a while. Did I leave a scrub land in this version of the deck? I did not. Okay. This version without Mystic Sanctuary in it probably wants scrubland. And that's a deck building thing that I did not optimize for. I'd love to be able to fetch scrubland here. Like bobble myself, decide if I'm gonna fetch or not, but now I'm just committed to bobbling them. Take out your Findhorn Elf, that looks familiar. Take a look at your top card, Allosaur Shepherd. That's a strong one. Good thing I have another removal spell. And more. And once again, wishing there was a scrubland in my deck. I am once again just making sure there's not. There really isn't. Okay. There's the Shep. And there's Llanowar Elves. Okay. I have to ending the Llanowar Elf. Going after the Shepherd. I can do that whenever. It's just, if I give them a turn with it, it turns on Cradle. I would much rather fetch a source of... Oh god, I'm just going to get choked here. Uncounterably choked. Scrubland, once again, would be great. I'm going to take 1. I didn't get choked. Am I going to Swords to Plowshares? No, that has the same problem. I didn't plow straight up because I didn't have a land drop. That's Baleful Strix. I'm going to Ponder. I'm going to shuffle this. And I'll pass the turn. And Endurance in the end step. Sure. Yeah, I don't care about that. I have 3 cards left in hand. The only card I'm really worried about is Choke. I guess if they go land, Natural Order, sacking Endurance. But even then, I can Dress Down and plow the Progenitus. Whatever. Crop Rotation. I cannot counter this. Not because of Shepherd, but because I don't have any cards in my hand that do that. Zenith for 3 that can't be countered. What is this going to do? A little Leovold in your deck? Another Endurance? I'm going to let this happen. They haven't put Choke on a creature yet, as far as I know. Wrist, right? Yep, that one makes sense. In the end step, I need to take out Allosaurus Shepherd. That's the one that's causing the most problems. Or at least could lead to the most problems. Baleful Strix. Force of Will, we found it. Underground Sea, Tundra, Baleful Strix. I'm turtled up in front of this Endurance. The Grist is annoying, and there's... Oh, they did Endurance me, so all my Prismatic Endings are still on the deck. I was going to say there's only 1 left. That's not true. Ranking out 1/1s. Gonna Force of Will this. Glad I'm able to do that. That actually felt like a pretty good turn. I'm not going to trade with an insect. I'm going to put damage on Grist. That could matter. And I'm just going to plow the Endurance now. The thing's too big for me to mess around with. And I'll leave a land in my hand if they want to Thoughtseize me. Have a look. Yeah, Grist certainly beats 2 Baleful Strix. Heads up. Come on, deck. Cantrip. Find an answer to Grist. Then we're chilling. Ooh. That's really good. Gonna Recruiter of the Guard and get either Plague Engineer or Night Clubber. Probably Night Clubber. Creatures your opponent's control get -1/-1 until end of turn. That hits all the creatures. Plague Engineer turns off the insect engine for good. Yeah, I am gonna get Plague Engineer after all. And now I can play my land out because they know that they can hit with Thoughtseize anyway. And I'll continue applying damage to Grist. They can fetch Dryad Arbor here, which Night Clubber would have punished. And they have perfect information. If they're holding Natural Order, they can just rip it here. They have 4, 5, 6, 7 mana if they want it for a Zenith. That's not enough to hoof me. They're attacking with the insects. They know those are likely dead anyway. We're in kind of an interesting game of whack-a-mole because if they do too much with insects, I can just wipe the insects. If they don't leave enough insects in play, I can just name Dryad and then, Dryad? Yeah, name Dryad and then attack Grist. Yeah, I think I just name Insect here, though. Get control of the situation. Insect. And then I'm going to attack Grist with everything. Grist is still a removal spell, even if the insects aren't in play. Oh, you had Endurance in your hand? Cheating. I lose my Recruiter here, but my Strixes put Grist down to 1, so it's not a removal spell this turn. It'll have to be for the future. And I'm going to hold back this land in case I draw Brainstorm. And Endurance is big enough that I might have to respect it anyway. Not this turn. I'll go to 5. That's fine. I'm not giving up my check on Grist. Save 3 damage. When I have 8 big juicy life points. Not blocking here. Could not, would not. Wirewood Symbiote is also an insect, and that's an important card in their deck. Fiend Artisan. Good thing you just Enduranced yourself. Goofball. Hey, remember when I held back this land in case I drove Brainstorm? Cash it in. Oh my god. What does this even do? Less than I'd want, honestly. But it's not bad. I can put back Brainstorm and land. Teferi bounces something here. Probably Fiend Artisan. Be real. So Teferi can bounce Fiend Artisan, which draws the Brainstorm, and then I can shuffle away the land. And I think rather than guaranteed kill Grist here, I want to attack it with the ground creatures. Because I don't want to trade Plague Engineer for Endurance, but I will trade Baleful Strix for Endurance. And they want to keep this irrelevant Grist in play for an extra turn and lose Dryad Arbor to do it. I'm cool with that. Because Fiend Artisan is a 2-drop, and I'm pretty into not sweeping up 3 of my own permanents with my Engineered Explosive. If I can kill off a couple of them. There's that. And Fiend Artisan. Okay. Done a really good job diversifying the costs of the cards in this deck. 0, 1, 2, and 3, all represented across 4 permanents. Let's see how much they care about Teferi. Probably should care a lot. They know I have Displacer Kitten. And Engineered Explosives does go off with Displacer Kitten. Ooh, wow. They decided they don't care about Teferi. At least not yet. We get Tundra. And we cast this Brainstorm. Another Teferi, Prismatic Ending, and some lands. Check the lands. And then plus this Teferi. Minus the other Teferi. And I think I want to get Elvish Reclaimer out of play. That's the one with additional game text on top of power and toughness. Because I'm about to Prismatic Ending this Fiend Artisan. I am doing it now before they get an activation out of it or an untap step with it. And with me at a paltry 3 life against a 3 power creature, I'm just going to hold back on attacks for a turn. This game's gone on a lot longer and been a lot more scrappy than I thought it would, but we're not safe. They just cast Wirewood Symbiote directly into the graveyard. Got him! Also an insect. Easy to forget. Gotta watch my clock at this point. Explosives on 1 is completely viable here. Yeah, I think taking out the Elvish Reclaimer makes the most sense, and I am just going to do it now before they can activate it. Hanging back on Swords of Plowshares here. They would need to, like, Natural Order for Progenitus to win this game, I think. Position Agent. Cool. Glad Teferi's in play, and I don't have to think about that one too much. Oh, yeah. Now we have a real win condition. Baleful Strikes get in there. Now the floor is about to fall out of this game. They need to do something very big very quickly. And they have to do it through an active Mentor with a Swords to Plowshares backing it up. Okay, they did not do anything. I'm going to plow Endurance in the end step and get a trigger on Mentor. This is pretty aggressive, probably more aggressive than I need to be. Punished immediately. All good. Check with my flyers. Does Teferi do anything or matter? I could plus Teferi one more time. Put Cat into play. Yeah, I think putting Cat into play is worth doing. And just cross my fingers, cross my toes, hope that I untap and win next turn. Like, I could have just deleted Teferi, bounced Dryad Arbor, and tried to draw something to get cards flickering with Kitten and Mentor. I am worried about Natural Order. Oh, but they can't sack Oppo Agent, but they wouldn't. They would sack Elvish Visionary, right? It looks like we're getting a turn. Come on, good spells. Awful Strix. I'm gonna minus on Oppo Agent first. You can't replay it because of Teferi. I don't care about Flash. Bobble, hello. Baleful Strix. Black blue. Play the new Strix. Play Bobble. Flicker, Teferi. Gotta work through all these triggers with 5 minutes on my clock. Should be fine though. Yeah, this is lethal. We got the combo. My opponent generously conceded. GG's. Alright, work through Elves 2-0. I would expect this matchup to be tough game 1, but we got game 1 as well. But they are the Fiend Artisan Elves, which is closer to a rock mid-range deck than it is to a combo deck these days, which my deck's very good against. So you get better against Doomsday, but you get worse against Control and Death and Taxes and stuff. A little give and take. Off to a good start. This video is sponsored by MoxField.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. MoxField supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and every other format you'll see on this channel. They have multiple customizations so you can view your deck how you want. Text view, stacks, grid, custom grouping by type, subtype, color, light mode, dark mode. However you want to see your deck, they can provide it for you. My favorite feature is you can choose your set printing, make the deck look exactly how you want it to. The deck screen features expandable sections that show you what tokens your deck makes, your recent change history to the deck, stats about mana curve and opening hand distribution, mana cost distribution. You can deal out sample hands and even play test the deck. Island Ponder. You know I'm keeping this one. This site has everything. Follow me on moxfield.com to keep up with decks I'm playing for the channel and what I'm up to in paper. I'll see you there. Last round, I kept a 5-lander with 2 spells. This is not the type of 5-lander with 2 spells. I'm going to mulligan this. There we go. This is great. I'm going to mulligan one of the underground species to the bottom. This is where my opponent is oops all spells, and I've made a huge mistake. Keep and send underground sea to the bottom. Not oops all spells. Go after Noble Hierarch. That's a bold decision. I'm going to bobble my opponent and try to get more information about their deck or what they're drawing. Knight of the Reliquary. Well, I would rather plow that. There's a chance that plowing the Noble Hierarch means that they don't cast Knight for a while, but I would rather just get that out of play immediately. Check the box, make it done. This is an outrage. Oh my god, you kept a 1-lander with the Sylvan Library. Okay, I've been punked. Seeing that knight tricked me. Prismatic Ending. All right, did not draw Prismatic Ending. Got a deck full of Narsets. Let's get to work here. I'm sure they'll just pay the max. Yep, straight to 12 life. Found their second land. Zenith for 0. Found another land. Okay. And wow, actually used the Swords to Plowshares on Baleful Strix. I'm a little surprised by that. That is... Maybe they just don't think I have any other permanents worth targeting, which, you know, is not entirely wrong. I'm going to ponder here, because if I can find it, the Prismatic Ending and clear Sylvan Library, that's pretty great. I did not find that. I can shuffle and still maybe hit it. I'm going to shuffle. Not particularly inspired by any of the cards I just saw. Okay. I'm going to cast another Strix. Solitude, cool. All right. And we're most of the way there to casting that thing. Didn't take any extra cards that time. Here's the Knight. Been ready for that since turn 2. Or turn 1 even. Hey. Now we're cooking. Gonna fetch Tundra. Play Narset. Narset shuts down Sylvan Library. Swords to Plowshares answers Knight of the Reliquary. Baleful Strix blocks Dryad Arbor. We're hanging out. Prismatic Ending and Plow the Knight. Even have a white card for Solitude if there's an emergency. Upkeep Once Upon a Time. Oh, that clears the cards from Sylvan Library. That makes sense if you know that you don't want them, which you would know that because you saw both of them. Yeah, that's cool timing. Don't know that I've ever seen that specifically come up that way before. Oh, we're a Stoneblade deck. That's fun. They know I'm holding Prismatic Ending. There's Cauldra. And Wasteland, okay. Dodged Wasteland so far. That takes us pretty far away from this Solitude. I will do the work and try to find additional answers or additional lands. I just want another Prismatic Ending against this white deck. Yikes. I'm going to shuffle this. I am looking for lands here. I did not find. And I'm going to end the Stoneforge Mystic and pass the turn. Little flimsy here. There's just this Baleful Strix between Narset and certain Demise. I don't really like where we are right now. Mother. Raminep Excavator. Shit. Do not want to play against that card. Yep. They take me off white, and they know I don't have another one. I'm going to pitch Recruiter in the end step. I guess I can do this all main phase. There's no difference. Yeah, it's fine. I can pitch Solitude and then animate Solitude. Pitch Recruiter. Exile Raminep Excavator. Animate Dead Solitude. We know they can't cast Endurance here because one of their cards in hand is not green. Take out your Mother. And now I'm going to start attacking. I have this 2/2 in the way. I think that attack was bad in retrospect. I'd like to win the game, but if this Narset gets cleared by a removal spell, then Sylvan Library's back on. Oh my god. Alright. The Wasteland train is rolling. One unknown card left in their hand. Ponder. I would rather cast this than hold it as a blue card. Yeah, okay. I'm going to put basic planes into play. And they have not indicated that they have a removal spell yet. So I'm off it. Pushing with the damage that I have. Oh god, I'm getting Enduranced. I'm such a clown. I deserve this. Oh, that was the one card in hand that I said they can't pitch cast last turn, but they could cast it this turn. Yeah, if I lose this game, it's completely my stupid fault. Yuck. And this guarantees to clear Narset next turn. They have to throw away their Endurance to do it, but unlocking Sylvan Library. But I can Prismatic Ending the library. So it's not that bad. Well, fuck me. Is that actually just fine? My life total's high. This is going about as badly as it can go, but it's still somehow fine. I'm taking out the Sylvan Library. My next card down is Marsh Flats. And then I'm drawing Wild again. I need them not to find some absurd banger right now. Oh, they're tapping 4 mana. Cool. Just the best card they could draw in their deck. Not a problem. I plow this Knight of the Reliquary and pass the turn. Oh, they're tapping mana again. They're just tapping all their mana again. Oh my god! Who needs Sylvan Library when you just draw your best card every turn? Okay, let's keep this party going. Teferi, clear the Knight, play my land. I'm treading water here. I'm doing pretty good too. Yeah, they've been really careful about putting multiple attackers on every Planeswalker, which has been good for 6 life this game. Probably the right play, but I have gained 6 life off it. All right, deck, keep the hits coming. No! All right, now I start to lose. They endurance themselves earlier, which makes my Knight really small, but it does mean all their Wastelands are back in the deck. See what kind of strat we're going for here. The speedrun Knight, we're getting Flagstones to just go wide. Gonna get Wasteland and start to pinch me again. Could start moving towards Dark Depths if that's a thing in your deck, which probably is. Or just drawing cards. Okay. Deal. Forge Mystic. I'm gonna counter that. This Cauldra chilling over in their hand. Not something I want to tangle with. 4 damage coming through. I need something that answers and cantrips, like Baleful Strix or Teferi or something. I need to hit the board twice. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. I have lost this game because I made a number of imperfect decisions that let them rip the nuts, but I didn't need to play into the nuts. 2 answers. Okay, that's 1. Blue, black. Let's draw Teferi, and then Teferi will draw Swords to Plowshares. Deal? I'll take a Ponder. Ponder. All right, I found Teferi. Not shuffle my library. Fetch to 1 life. Feeling good about that, let me tell you. Literally dead on board. Yeah, going to 1 life here. I'm already dead. They've seen Solitude, though. Force of Will. Cast that. Go straight to 0. Yeah, with 1 more life point, we're still in this game. Yeah, that was tough. I played imperfectly, and they drew like the sun. So, tough recipe for actually winning games there. I will try to do better. Engineered Explosives and Supreme Verdict I like. Plague Engineer. I have to decide if this looked like Maverick or Green-White Depths. Plague Engineer and Nightclubber are pretty good against Maverick, but not super good against Depths. I think I do like Unlicensed Hearse either way. Force of Will isn't great, but this deck is going to have Choke in it. And they have a bunch of endurances, so Animate Dead, as cool as that was, going to go out. I don't think I'm going to club them. At least a Death Touch creature and Tangle, but Clubber might actually just completely miss on everything. Teferi's only really exciting with Kitten. Could go down to Teferi. Yeah, I'll try it like this. The 1 lander I don't like. Mulligan. I like this one better. I'm going to keep this, and I think I send Force of Will out of this hand. Play to the board. Hope I don't get choked. Once Upon a Time. Found Savannah. Played the Savannah. And the Mother. Okay. Well, I'm wishing Nightclubber was in my deck right now. I could play on basics here. I could basic Island Brainstorm. I could also just basic Plains Ending and save my fetch. I think that's good. I get rid of that. Forge Mystic. Okay. I have another Prismatic Ending for this. There is the Mighty Cauldra. I'm going to get basic Island and cast a Brainstorm here. Lake Engineer is cool. Underground Sea I can get rid of and just play on basics. And I do like Hearse versus a lot of the things that start happening on 3 mana. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of the Plague Engineer. Sorry, Big Plaguey. You know I love you. I have all my basics in play now. And we're hanging out. Fetching for some 3-drop. Joke. Okay, I've played around this as well as I could. Unlicensed Hearse, get in there. I take out their graveyard right now before they cast any cards out of it. Mother of Runes, okay. Yeah, there's not a straight up disenchant in this deck. It's all blue-centric or prismatic ending-centric, which means I'd need to find a land and the ending to mess with this thing. I'm likely to just lose here. Endurance. Endurance targeting nobody. Makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to lose to this choke, guaranteed. You can muscle through it sometimes, but this is not a situation that is conducive to that. All right. And they can get me with another fetch land here and just keep fetch lands in the back, but we have done something with unlicensed Hearse this game. Count it. Okay. There's a start. I think I'm just going to leave that in play and try to Supreme Verdict. I lose 2 lands to do that, but Supreme Verdict is an active face-up plan right now where anything else I could do involves a wing and a prayer. I'm going to exile cards from my own graveyard. I don't really use my graveyard as a resource, but having a big hearse might matter. Okay. Well, not okay because of Mother of Runes. Alright, that's the turn. And now I'm on draw land for Supreme Verdict or Blessed. Yep, dead on board. Even if I draw the land, I'm at either 3 or 2. Well, I'm at 2. Once again, wish there was a scrub land in my deck, but there is not. You get a Tundra and a Sea. Give up each of those. Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, that works. Yeah, game 1 was not played well. Game 2, I was never winning in my life.
You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7 Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7 Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7 Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7 Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better.
I'm on the draw for round 3. Let's try to tighten up. Gonna keep this amazing handful of lands, cantrips, and spells. Gemstone Mine. I'm immediately terrified. No fair deck in the history of Earth has played that card. I'm gonna fetch a Tundra and cast Ponder. Or, yeah, I think Ponder's better than Brainstorm here, because I can Brainstorm for full value next turn. Just looking for a Force of Will right now. My opponent chatted me while I was pondering. I don't know if I actually caught that ponder on video. It was Swords of Plowshares, 2 lands. I shuffled it and drew Recruiter of the Guard. I don't think Swords of Plowshares is what I need against this deck. This is probably Dredge or some crazy Storm Brew. Gemstone Mine, Mana Confluence. This looks like Dredge. Uh-oh. Lotus Petal. Yeah, I don't know what's going on right now. Is this like modern style ad nauseum? I'm gonna Brainstorm right now. Back Swamp. And probably Recruiter. And I'm going to fetch another Tundra and cast another Ponder. Just still in the market for a Force of Will here. I'm going to shuffle this Bauble Land Brainstorm. Drew a Bauble. Let's look at your deck. Can I glean any additional information here? Nope. Just another Lotus Petal. Oh, it's Rainbow Depths. Okay. Sure. Alright. I'm still dead, but okay. The Swords of Plowshares would have been fine, actually, now that I know what's up. Yeah, this deck's kind of making a resurgence that I totally forgot about until right this second. Sylvan Scrying. They tapped the Thespian Stage to do it. That's great news. That gives me a turn to do stuff. Taking the turn off to bog me, because Dark Depths does not need to be your land drop. Okay. If I find a 0 next turn, I can go off if I Teferi right now. Yeah, Teferi is actually great because it lets me Prismatic Ending at instant speed, and it means they can't protect it with crop rotation. Their deck does play a bunch of Pithing Needles. We'll see if they have one. And if I rip Mox Amber off the top, I can just win. There's the Depths. This deck does traditionally have Stifle in it. Just been very lucky not to get stifled at all this game. I'm gonna Brainstorm, back Underground Sea, and Recruiter of the Guard. I don't need 2 kittens, actually. Underground Sea and Kitten. We get another Underground Sea. That's Baleful Strix. This gives me a blocker. Right now I have Plow and Ending. Don't have 2 white, though. But opponent's gonna have to make some tough choices here. fuck it YOLO into my gigantic card selection. It looks like they are going for fuck it YOLO. All right. I'm just going to pass. Baleful Strix can block, and if they commit their Sujiri step to getting through Baleful Strix, then it's a Sujiri step they don't have in the deck. Scrying resolves. Yeah. Prismatic Ending in response, thanks to Teferi. Splat. Cool. And they used a Sylvan Scrying to do that. Just Sylvan Scrying down, Sujiri step down. Now I can start going nuts, do kitten stuff. Plus Teferi. Play Marsh Flats, play my cat. And I'm ready to go completely bonkers next turn. I have Swords to Plowshares if I need to get a kitten trigger. Like I can plow my cat and then flicker my cat with my cat and then plow fizzles. Just gonna attack with my creatures first. I don't really want to chuck this Teferi in the trash. As much as I do want to do that, I also just can't really afford to, because if I unlock a hand of a bunch of crop rotations, I'm not going to be happy with myself. I could play the new Teferi though, and flicker Baleful Strix and get 2 cards off of that. I am going to engage in that. Keep the new Teferi, and new Teferi can bounce something, could bounce the Strix, could just bounce nothing also. I'll bounce Strix, that's fine. Still have mana up to plow. Just value cat. I can brainstorm in the end step and flicker Strix. Just DRC, eat your heart out. Surveil 1, how about draw 1 every time you cast an instant or sorcery? Good shit. Okay, playing against Turbo Depths. I do like Flusterstorm. Dress Down's kind of whatever. Force Negation's kind of whatever. Solitude's great. Ending's great. Animate Dead, probably not great. Teferi's great. Narset is whatever. Plow's great. Animate Dead can go. And there's some argument for Surgical Extraction. Like if they go for a single depths and I'm able to stop it, which I'm very good at, then I can take all the depths out of their deck. But it's not really good other than that. I'm going to cut a Recruiter and just bring in my 2 Flusterstorms. Recruiter and Animate for 2 Flusters. That makes sense to me. I could bring in Engineered Explosives to sweep up Elvish Reclaimers and Pithing Needles. Yeah, I'm going to cut the other Recruiter and do it that way. This hand's a little slow, but I think I can keep it. Famous last words. I deeply and aggressively don't want to get stifled ever. I'm going to lead on Scalding Tarn and play Mishra's Bauble. I'm not going to bobble myself. I'm going to bobble my opponent. Thespian Stage. Okay. Through another fetch land. I have enough of those, deck. We're good. We played the stage that we saw. Okay, Prismatic Ending. Next turn, that's actually really good because I can Teferi, then Mox Amber, and hold up Prismatic Ending. Thoughtseize. Disappointing. Just going to let this resolve. Have a look. Enjoy that. Took the Teferi. That makes sense. Alright, I guess it's time to start busting fetches. I have enough of them that even if I get stifled, we're in business here. This deck might play 1 Wasteland, but I don't need to give a whole lot of juice to that. Narset, let's go. Grab a Ponder, and then I'm going to Mox Amber and cast Ponder. I'm tapped out. If I'm dead, I'm dead. JK, I found Force of Will. It would be hard to kill me from here. Do not shuffle this. The next turn I can shove Mentor into play and do some start pulling ahead. Alright, Mentor's not going to help. New plan. I know there's a Narset on top of my deck with Bauble. I'm looking for a Swords to Plowshares. Ooh, Narset and Brick. Brainstorm off Mox Amber. Uh-oh. If I put back Mentor and Bauble's still another draw. Mentor and like this Narset, but not till next turn. Alright, I'm in survive this turn mode right now. Ponder. Baleful Strix. I mean, it's not nothing, but nor is it good. I am going to keep the Baleful Strix. I'm going to bobble my opponent. It would have to drop Sujiri Step from hand to get through Strix, because I can force a card that would look for the step. Another stage on top. Black, blue. For Strix. Draw Narset now, and then I draw card that's under it with Bauble. Okay, they didn't go for the depths. Nice. Baleful Strokes was enough. Another turn is all I ever want in this matchup. This is where they cast Choke. Put me in the trash. Played the stage that we saw. Tundra, always happy to see those. I'm going to play my new Narset. Activate you. Wow, bricked. Tough beats. Tough crowd. Ponder. Mentor Teferi. Do want Teferi. I don't want anything else. I'm actually going to shuffle this. Okay, I'm going to pass the turn with Force of Will and Brainstorm and hope that's enough to make it through this. Oh, it seems to be go time. I have to force a crop rotation or Sylvan Scrying. If they just straight up Sejiri Step from hand, I have to Brainstorm looking for Plow. If they just move to combat and spend a turn killing Baleful Strix, I'm just going to let it all happen and take another turn of Narset activations. Merit Lage does not trample for all her girth. All right, you got to back up Merit Lage, sure. Gonna need it. Activate Narset. Another Narset and a Brainstorm. Well, another Narset. In you go. Blue, blue, blue. Green Narset. There are sorts of Plowshares in my deck anywhere. The Force of Will. It's time to Brainstorm. We're running out of juice here. Okay, there's the sorts of Plowshares. Put back Island and one of these forces. That's too many forces. Yeah, Underground Sea, and then I'm going to cast Prismatic Ending on the first Merit Lage. And I think I'd rather Strix than Plow here. Crop rotating in the end step. What is this doing? I'll let this resolve, which might be a huge mistake. Power of the Magistrate. Oh, protection from artifacts. Okay, yep. I've made a huge mistake. I identified correctly that I needed to gives protection from artifacts. I correctly identified that I need to counter crop rotation, but I messed up the reason why. Cool tech, you got me. I don't think my deck changes here. Just back in. On the play. This hand is much better than the last one. I'm gonna bobble myself and use the build your own scry here. Opponent's on a mull to 5. Under, that's a card I can keep. I'm gonna fetch in their upkeep after I draw my card, because I am trying to play around Stifle, but I do also want this card. A Tundra. This deck sometimes has one Wasteland in it, but it's not really for cheesing out opponents. It's for forcing Wasteland fights or removing Karakas. Okay, turn 1 Sylvan Scrying, pitching Elvish Spirit Guide after a mulligan. Okay, I'm gonna let this resolve. So it's tempting. Yeah, this looks like Vampire Hexmage start. My good friend Baleful Strix into play. Opponent's probably going to Dark Depths Vampire Hexmage here. I will force the Hexmage. Stop that from happening. If they have a second Hexmage, I'm going to wish I let them do this, but then if they have a bunch of protection for Merit Lage, I'm going to wish I countered the Hexmage. That is a second copy of the best card in my deck. Once again, shuffle now and begin the slow, arduous work of attacking for 1 against an opponent who I'm likely to gain 40 life this game. I could have brought in Plague Engineer to name Vampire with. That's a line that cuts off half of their enablers. Did not think of that until now. It's been a while since Depths, Turbo Depths was in the metagame, and I'm forgetting all these tricks, but they're coming back to me. Pithing Needle, okay. Probably naming Teferi. Yep, Teferi has been named. Yikes, there's a Hexmage. 1 card left in their hand. Blusterstorm, I like that card. Now we're hanging out. Let's see if they go for it. They could just attack me with 2 and first strike and race me there, which is honestly not embarrassing. A little embarrassing for me that this is actually going to beat me if I don't do something about it. Narset. Do I want to put this card into play? All right, I'm going to fetch and put Narset into play. Blue, blue, black. There she is. Multiple Teferis that I can't activate, but I can still put in my hand. Attacking Narset. I am going to block here. Not excited about it. First strike. Hell of a mechanic. But Narset activation card advantage. I'm just got to be careful while I dance my way through this. Another Strix. Third, Swords to Plowshares. I like that a lot. And then Baleful Strix, get in. Mishra's Bauble. I don't think I'm saving this for anything. Would kind of like to know what's on top of their deck. They only have 2 cards left in hand, and just any information is good. Lotus Petal. That's a good one to know. They've now seen Swords to Plowshares with their eyes. Lotus Petal's in play. I guess the concern that I have is Surgical Extraction. Like, extracting all my plows here would be absolutely crushing. I'm going to take 2 from Hexmage one more time. Then I can go to my turn, play Teferi, and then what happens? Storm is 1 right now. If they Surgical, really bad. Okay, yeah, I'll just go to my turn. Okay, Swords to Plowshares. The first one has been cast. I think going to my turn didn't even do anything. I don't even know what the hell just happened. A brainless dingo. Fetching for Tundra, play Marsh Flats because that can get basic plains. And then this Teferi in. He is at least in play. Static ability active. I'm not getting Surgical here because Teferi is around. It's interesting they took the 2 life on Hexmage over killing Narset. I wonder if that's just a misclick or misunderstanding of some kind. There's Strix, keep them coming. Opponent's on the big mana ramp strategy over there, apparently. Classic Turbo Depths endgame. Start attacking. If they can beat one of these, they can beat 2. And I'm going to have to do damage to my opponent somehow. Okay, we got some motion in the end step here. And I am just going to plow immediately because they might have some variant of Fling that just throws a 20/20 at me without attacking if I give them priority. I think they would have main phased that if they had it, but still, just when Merit Lage is not in play, life is better. Stifle literally doesn't work with Teferi in play. Like, there is nothing that you can, just the rules of Magic indicate that that is true. Anything that you could stifle would not be on the stack at a time you could cast a sorcery. Prismatic Ending. Set my Teferi free. There we go. Okay. Yeah, just had to work through it. I got a lot of white removal, a lot of flying blockers, a lot of bounce, and a combo kill on my own. This matchup seems positive, and I'm glad we got away with this one. Keep it rolling. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. It's round 4, and I have Ponder, Baleful Strix. Let's roll. I love a hand with Ponder and Baleful Strix in it. Sign me up for that all the time. Oh no, opponent's on a multi 4. We're not getting a turn. This is some bullshit. Reanimator, oops, all spells, whatever. I hope it's the Neoform deck that I ran yesterday, because that deck actually can't win on 4 cards. What a mess that league was. Okay, 4-card hand. Show me how I'm dead. Oh, I am simply not dead? Okay. Their line was no play, go. I'm going to Ponder. Teferi will be good eventually, but I already have one in my hand, so this is a shuffle. Magic Ending. This is the wrong half of the deck. My opponent, nothing, go. I suspect this is Oops All Spells. That's like 1 mana away from winning. It just needs to draw any source of mana to pop it. And they thought that keeping that 4 would be better than going to 3. Yeah, absolutely. And here it is. Summer's Pact. Okay. Yeah, they wouldn't have given me this turn if they had it. Or if they didn't have to. And there it is. Gross. Okay. Oops All Spells is the matchup. Bring in my Graveyard Hate. And my Dress Downs. My Force of Negation. And my Flusterstorms. Every time I play against Oops All Spells, people are like, why didn't you bring in Plague Engineer to name Illusion, and then they can't have Narcomoeba? They play 1 Bridge from Below to play around that. So this is not an effective strategy. Just FYI. Okay, what is less good? Animate Dead. Swords to Plowshares. That can hit Xanted Swarm, but so can Prismatic Ending. Do I care about Prismatic Ending? I don't really need to Mox Amber this opponent. Yeah, I think this entire, like, our Bauble can find me Velocity. I don't need a kit in this opponent. Teferi's pretty good. Mentor can win a game. He can cut a recruiter. I'm leaving in all my endings because those can hit stuff like Lotus Petal if it's just hung out there, but it also hits Xantid Swarm, which is a card I'm a little worried about most of the time. Yeah, this looks fine. Let's go. Now I know the matchup. I'll keep this hand with Surgical Extraction in it. One piece of interactions, not always enough to beat them. Usually want 3 before you're super confident. But I'm going to keep this hand. Under found Teferi, Narset. None of this stuff's good. Shuffle it. Another Ponder. Okay. Spirit Guide's been exiled. Shit. Alright, there's the Xantid Swarm. Let's see if my sideboard strategy pays off here. Gotta find a prismatic ending immediately. Or unlicensed hearse. Alright, Ponder, do the work. Prismatic ending. Oh, Solitude, you're so close to what I want. Force of Will, I needed you last turn. Time to shuffle. And we're dead. I guess I could brainstorm into Solitude white card. God. And if that's my play, that's my play. Oh, maybe I was supposed to keep Solitude, brainstorm for any white card. Off Ponder. Yeah, that's probably better than trying to shuffle and spike specifically the one thing. Okay. Losing to spell sucks, but it's about to happen. There's my car. Cool. All right. Yeah, I've looked at all of the answers that could have been helpful under different circumstances. And now I'm just going to F6 and lose. I can cross my fingers and hope they kept a hand on the strength of Xantid Swarm, but they don't actually have the win. That's the only thing I got going for me. That could still happen. They kept 7. Yep, there's a land. Yep, put to the test immediately and failed it. Welcome to Oops All Spells. Yeah, that Solitude, I should have kept that and then brainstormed for any white card. Blah. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. I'm on the draw for the final round. I'm going to trust this cool hand of selection and cantrips and land drops to actually perform and it not be a cheese matchup. Harsh thoughts from my opponent. It's the mirror. Aha, one of my own. I am not going to bobble yet because I don't know what I need to do here. Okay. If they're going to Marsh Flats in the end step. Oh, it's Reanimator. Cool. All right, now I'm definitely going to bobble. Get a shot here to find Force of Will. You're drawing bad lands. I should fetch Tundra. Just thin out whatever tiny percent of non-Force of Will cards from my deck. And nope. That's not it. Scrubland Lotus Petal. Oh, I saw bad lands and then they played a different one. Okay. I mean, they are certainly going to have a good time here. I have the Plow for this, but they should be able to put several more creatures in their graveyard. Yeah, Plow, draw 7 in response. I'm getting griefed. Off a draw 14, they should be able to figure out how to Lotus Petal, Entomb, Reanimate again. Looking at my hand of irrelevant cards. Dark Ritual. Okay, Entomb. Archon. Sure. I wish he did that one first, honestly. Discard Underground Sea. Getting unmasked. Losing my Narset. Unmasked again. Alright, yep. Just gotta draw a Source of Plowshares and we're good, right? Against their 9-card hand. Source of Plowshares. Oh, we're dead. I am technically not dead to this, but my opponent is going to see 9 cards that turn. I'm going to have no resources. We don't need to play every game to the wire. Okay. I asked for not a cheese matchup, and I was lied to. Deceived. This one is less cheesy than Oops All Spells, though. This one, at least, could take a defensive mid-ground posture that I can exploit. Oops All Spells never does that. They're just like, here's my shit. Good luck. My one of Animate Dead's really funny. I could let Entomb Resolve, counter their Animate, and then enjoy their Grizzlebrand. Thematic Ending, not a card. Narset's pretty good. Plow is alright. Would prefer that the creatures don't end up in play at all. This is actually the first time I'm reaching for Baleful Strix to exit the deck. Strix is really bad. Recruiter can get Solitude or Kitten if I need to get Wild. I'm just thinking about Recruiter over Baleful Strix. Strix is blue for all the forces I brought in. All right, Strix, you're back on the menu. This is my plan. I'll keep this hand with Force of Will in it. Not that that's enough, but it's enough to keep a hand. Not enough to win a game by itself most of the time. It's going to pass the turn. I'm not casting Ponder because that's my blue card. Unmask targeting me. Okay, here we go. It resolves. Taking my Force, casting Dark Ritual. Yeah. Boom. I'll fetch in response. Get Tundra. And then let this reanimate resolve. Opponent's at 12. They can only draw 7, which is much better than 14 for me. Still bad, though. They're unmasking themselves. Oh, we're going to get Archon to this turn as well. Perfect. I'm going to at least plow the Grizzlebrand before they can draw another 7 cards. Yeah, just turn 1 Grizzlebrand twice after battling Oops All Spells. My deck's not really set up for this. Ironically, the 80 card version is probably better against this matchup because it has a higher density of force effects. There's 7 across the 75 instead of 5. And there's 6 in the main. All right, let's find another Swords of Plowshares. Shuffle, find Swords of Plowshares. Wait. Yes. Okay, I found Teferi. Teferi could still do stuff this game. Ponder. Oh, there's Solitude. What's up? Do not shuffle this. Teferi, you had a chance to do stuff, but instead we're doing Solitude stuff. My opponent has 4 cards in hand, 2 of them are lands. I got a Brainstorm on top of my deck. Let's hang out. There's currently just a Grief for reanimating. Or no, there's not even a Grief. There's nothing to reanimate in their graveyard. Okay, folks. Let's grind back into this thing. Grief pitching Unmask. I'll Brainstorm in response. See if I can hide something. Yeah, perfect. So Grief is going to miss. Then I'm going to draw Baleful Strix. Unfortunately, I have to shuffle away the Plow under the Strix. Just on Reanimate Grief phase of the game. Mostly I'm okay with that phase of the game. What I could do here is just not play Strix. And I think that's actually makes a lot of sense because I'm on a 5-turn clock and I can take the guaranteed Plow next turn. Like guaranteed stabilize the board, guaranteed no creatures in the graveyard, and then put Strix into play on mop-up duty. Uh-oh. Faithless Looting's dangerous. No creatures, pass the turn. No creatures, perfect. Alright, an opponent's Hellbent. Now I can draw this Plow and play Strix and see what happens. I think I like taking the 3 damage to lock in the Swords of Plowshares. See if I regret it. Narset's a good one. He's going to come down a turn late to handle this Faithless Looting. I think I'm going to have to take 3 from Grief again. Make sure an Archon doesn't kill me this turn. Yeah, I'll take this 3 and then see what Faithless Looting does, and then Plow, End Step, Jam Narset, hang out. Yep, here's the looting. No creatures. Alright, yep, no creatures. Perfect. Discarded Thoughtseize and Exhume. Plow the Grief. Now let's start to take over. Narset's in play. Narset whiffed. 2 kittens, 2 lands. Good shit. I'm not gonna cast this Brainstorm. I can wait. I'll find a spot. I can still Brainstorm into Surgical if I need to hit something, but Grizzlebrand is turned off right now. Alright, Hardcast Grief. Brainstorm in response. And you can look at this Brainstorm, or this Flooded Strand again. With this Narset activation, I know there's at least a Force of Will. See if we can do better. Fresh Narset. I think Ponder is better than Narset here. I would like to put a creature into play. So that's really good. I can Plow this Grief, and if they find another reanimation situation, I can Brainstorm into Surgical. I can Brainstorm into Surgical plus Flusterstorm if there's a real emergency here. I'm just going to draw through the Fluster and the Surgical, and then save Brainstorm for the tail end of that. Enemy dead targeting my Solitude. How do I feel about that? Like, Teferi bouncing my own Solitude is just nutters. The 2-power creature. I could just extract my own Solitude. I think I'm okay with this. Like in the scheme of things that exist, fine. I like that I temporarily get the animate dead, and then it goes back to my opponent. Okay, I'm drawing Flusterstorm, and then I'm casting Brainstorm, and I'm going to find Teferi and pick up my Solitude and laugh all the way to the bank. Calling it now. Okay, the bank's closed. I have a Narset. My own animate dead, hilariously, is present now. I'm going to get rid of that and Flooded Strand and fetch. Play the new Narset. Leaving up white. I'm going to take this Brainstorm and start to figure it out next turn. Let's see if they respect Narset at all, or if they just want to come after my life points. Are attacking Narset. Cool. Solitude's power is reduced because of Animate Dead, so Narset's still in play. It's just not activatable. Let's brainstorm into Teferi now. How about that? Mentor's not bad. And the Amber triggers it immediately. Would I rather fetch or hold up Surgical? Flusterstorm's not very good here. Like, I could just jam Mentor. Could get rid of the Amber and just fluster Surgical. Or I could get rid of a land and commit to not drawing a spell next turn. I don't think I can do that. Yeah, I am gonna just play the Mentor and shuffle. All right, real creature tangling with your fake creature. Let's do it. I'm not gonna block. So why are they attacking Narset and not me? It's like they're setting up for Faithless Lootings. It's fine. You can have Narset. I could Surgical just something and block with a 3/3. But then they could reanimate my Solitude. That's not even really a solution. Yeah, this is what I thought was going to happen. Storm is 1. 11 discarded a creature. Entomb. Right, I can Surgical whatever they entomb for. And I wanted to shuffle my deck anyway. So I will pay full price on this Surgical Extraction, targeting Grizzlebrand. Glad I didn't get jumpy in combat and spew off Surgical to kill the Solitude. Okay, they have 2 Archons, 2 Dothy Voidwalkers, 3 Dothy Voidwalkers, and 2 Magus of the Moon. Wow, okay. There is a small creature plan in this deck. Do they have any other creatures in the graveyard? No, there's no Grief hanging out in there or anything. We get a good look at this. Nope. Exhume can resolve. Do I have a Baleful Strix? Nope. All right, Mentor. Time to race Solitude, and I could just draw the Teferi at any point and end the game. Really shocking. In a battle here. I could also just flood out and lose. It's live. Solitude coming in strong, given that life total flush. We can flashback looting. How about spells? Spells! God damn. Do I leave back Monk to start blocking yet? I don't think so. The difference between 5 and 3 is 1 hit from Grief. Fetching in the end step. Okay, I'll take 2 again. Thoughtseize. I'm going to Flusterstorm that. What they want to do about it. The 1000 IQ play is don't pay, because this is clearly the last card in my hand. All right. They're on regular levels of IQ. Okay. And last card is the Dothy Voidwalk. Oh no, I'm at 3. All right, deck, time to draw Teferi. Teferi, 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 Teferi! 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, and because I didn't make my land drop on previous turns, I can't just pick up my Solitude. Yeah, if I had made my land drop last turn, it would be fine. All right. I don't deserve all this, but I'm getting it. Teferi, bounce this creature that kills me. Found another Flusterstorm, and then leave 1 back to block and push for damage with the rest. Or I could double block. Oh god. Not playing that land. Yeah, doing a smarter person than me would have done the math of the Teferi recast Solitude is a 5 mana play, and if I just play my land, we're good. Attacking Teferi. So I'll block with a Monk. And having Teferi in play is better than not having Teferi in play. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, we need another good one. Jack, you're full of good ones. How about just ponder into Brainstorm into just lethal with Mentor? Come on, spells, spells. Oh, yeah. Okay, I could do the thing now that I wanted to do last turn. I believe there are lands still on my deck. I'm at 2. There is 1 fetchable land left in my deck. New Teferi. We're staying alive. Keep the new one. Bounce Solitude. And then Solitude. Wait. Are they dead? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're not dead. Okay. Play Solitude. Exile your creature. They bobble. Get some extra monk action. View your top card. The Magus. Alright, too late for that. Oh, this was a sweaty one. Yeah, they should Faithless Looting. Archon still kills me if they can reanimate an Archon this turn. Maybe? Please don't, though. Okay. Woof. We got a game 3. And we've seen Dothy, Voidwalker, and Magus of the Moon. My Swords to Plowshares are coming back in. Baleful Strix coming out. Hydroblast? Do I want that? That hits the Magus and Faithless Lootings. There's whole swaths of the deck that Hydroblast doesn't touch. It is pretty good against the development and the juke plan. Maybe I'm off Recruiter of the Guard and I can bring in another Prismatic Ending. Prismatic Ending messes with Voidwalker or Magus. I could also just not do that. I think I want the Hydroblast. I'm doing it like this. You can't talk me out of it. Okay. Force blue card Flusterstorm or Double Force. Let's go. Opponent's on 6. Grief pitching Unmask. I'm going to let Grief resolve because I'll still have Force blue card at the end of this. And if I force this, like I'm basically trading a whole blue card for the information that I have another Force, which is a lot of information. Not going to fight over looting. There's already a creature in the graveyard. Archon and Entomb are in the graveyard now. I'm going to play the land that fetches basic island or plains in case I need those things. They know they have to beat Force Flusterstorm now. Get a creature into play. Animate Dead ignores Flusterstorm. Yeah, I think I pitch Teferi here. Doesn't feel good, but Flusterstorm can at least do something on its own, where Teferi is a ways away from that. I can fetch Island Plains now. I've survived the initial onslaught. What's left? Not another Animate Dead. Okay, Dothy Voidwalker. I will fetch in response to this thing. I'm going to get Island and Tundra. I can fetch basic plains with this other land if I need to, but I want my mana to be good if I don't end up doing that. Alright, how about something that does something? That qualifies. Fairy, bounce this thing. I am shields down for the turn to a reanimation spell. If they got it, they got it. They drew Animate Dead. Okay. And they would have played that last turn if they had it. So I sack Teferi and discard Swamp. And now I need to draw an answer to this thing. Surgical Extraction right on time. I'm gonna... Do I fetch first? Yeah, I think so. Are there cards on the bottom of my deck I know I don't want? I don't think so. Alright, I'm gonna fetch to take one card I don't want out of the deck. And I'm gonna Narset, activate, try to spike the Swords to Plowshares. And we found Force of Will. That's not it. That's probably the end of this game, kids. Surgical Extraction showed up just too late. Drew Animate Dead just in time. And Archon sweeps up my Narset and beats up my hand. Actually going to discard the Surgical. I think I need to force the Voidwalker. And then try to rip Teferi or some other answer to this Archon. Yeah, just going to force that. Give myself a chance to have a clear board. Come on, Swords of Plowshares, Teferi, white card. Your Brainstorm, come on, Swords of Plowshares, Teferi. Swords of Plowshares. Saying there's a chance. Get that the fuck out. Okay, now my opponent with 4 cards in hand, Faithless Looting in the graveyard. And I'm about to cast Displacer Kitten and then draw a Force of Will that I can't cast. So I got to survive multiple turns of this. And instead, I survived 0 turns of this because they get Grizzlebrand immediately from 30 life. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm good. I'm good. I tap out. A slightly disappointing 2 and 3. Final result with 60 card Kitten. I don't know that 80 card Kitten would have outperformed this league compared to 60 card. We actually played against Oops All Spells and Reanimator, both of which are decks where I'd rather have fewer cards in my deck to find the action, and we just did not find the action. Had some good games against Reanimator, just got smeared by Oops. My play was not the tightest it's ever been in this league. I spent a lot of time saying like, oh, should have done this, should have fetched this, should have sequenced this way. I don't know that I lost any games because of that, but there were some minor optimizations that could have been done. I did miss Mystic Sanctuary. I also kind of wish there was a scrub land in the deck, which there definitely should be if there's not a Mystic Sanctuary. With 7 more lands in the deck, you could just do both. Comparing it to the Yorion build. Yeah, I can't blame Yorion or lack thereof for anything that happened in this league. Just looking at it, really digesting how the league went. I think Esper control just isn't that good, is the problem. And adding a clunky combo to the top end does not improve the fact that Esper control isn't that good. And if I were going to build Esper control, it would have a lot more discard in it. And by more, I mean any, because this build has 0. But just like Thoughtseize, Hymn to Turok, those are the reasons to be an Esper or black compared to non-black decks. And we're just not doing any of that. We're basically splashing Baleful Strix and some sideboard cards with our black cards here, which Baleful Strix is very good in a Delver metagame. But if you queue into the Moto League and play against multiple busted combo decks and no Delver, you're going to feel the difference. I think this list is solid. I don't think that there's any cards that are obviously I would change. The Animate Dead is a flex slot, and it might be a little cute, but I also think it does really unique, fun things compared to any other slot you could put there. And with Kitten, it gets really interesting. I definitely don't think you get Thassa's Oracle. I didn't think that going into the league, and now having played 5 matches with it, there's definitely no room for that. All the spells have to count. I felt like I was kind of getting flooded and light on action spells as is, and Thassa's Oracle just 1/3, no text a lot of the time. You can't put that in your deck. I'm going to leave this here, though. I really don't have any additional thoughts on the list. I think just paring down the 80 cards down to 60 did a pretty good job on the first pass. And if your metagame is fair, you'll have fun with this. If your metagame is unfair, you're going to lose a lot. That's the lesson I'm going to take away from this. Epi, thank you for asking me to do this. Everybody else, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon, and all the other things that support the channel in the video description. And I'll see you for the next video.